The Voice of Hind Rajab review. The docudrama about a Gaza tragedy leaving audiences distraught. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a nice day before we begin the video. Please subscribe and give the video a thumbs up. At this year's Venice Film Festival, no film has been more talked about than this latest project from Tunisian director Kayouter Ben Hania, which recounts the heart-shattering story of a 6-year-old girl killed in Gaza, and received a record 23-minute standing ovation at the festival this week. It isn't uncommon to hear cheers or boos at the end of a film festival screening, but when The Voice of Hind Rajab was shown to journalists and industry professionals at the Venice Film Festival on Wednesday, some far rarer sounds were heard. People were crying. Some of them were sobbing noisily, some were sniffling, some had red eyes, and almost everyone was too distraught to talk. The film is likely to prompt a similar response wherever it is shown. Later on in the day, at the festival premiere, it received what Deadline reported as a 23-minute-plus standing ovation, which it suggested may be a film festival record. It is now a hot favorite to pick up Venice's top prize, the Golden Lion, on Saturday, and it is almost certain to be nominated for the Academy Award for Best International Feature Film. Kayouter Ben Hania, the Tunisian director of The Voice of Hind Rajab, is no stranger to the Oscars, having been nominated in the Best International Feature category for The Man Who Sold His Skin, 2020, and in the Best Documentary category for 2024's Four Daughters. But her latest work, which numbers Brad Pitt, Joaquin Phoenix, Rooney Mara, Jonathan Glazer, and Alfonso Cuarón among its executive producers, will have a greater impact than anything she has done before. An innovative hybrid of drama and documentary, it recounts the heart-shattering story of Hind Rajab, a 6-year-old Palestinian girl who was killed in the Israel-Gaza war in January 2024. She was traveling one afternoon in a car in Gaza's Tel Al-Hawa neighborhood with her aunt, uncle, and cousins when the car was fired upon, and Hind was the only member of the family group to survive. She was then trapped for hours in the wreckage, squeezed against the bodies of her relatives, and hopping in vain to be rescued. What the film conveys so powerfully is the pain of wanting to change a situation which is agonizingly out of your hands. Clips of the phone conversations between the terrified girl and some Palestinian Red Crescent volunteers were circulated on social media. Now those same recordings have been used as the basis of Ben Hania's film. Actors play the volunteers, based on the real people involved, in its main setting, the offices of a Red Crescent emergency center, 52 miles away from Gaza. But, as the caption explains, Hind's voice is the real thing. We are listening to actual phone calls made in January 2024. This means that the film has the atmosphere and structure of an immersive thriller about a feverish race against time. But the child's voice on the crackling line turns it into something much more distressing. "Please come get me," she pleads. "I'm scared." And because we are hearing Hind's voice, rather than that of an actress, we have the stomach-churning illusion that she can still be saved, even though we know that's impossible. A House of Dynamite is riveting and terrifying. The Rock is Oscar-worthy in his latest film, the new drama about how Putin's Russia was born. The audio evidence of her bravery throughout her ordeal is devastating, but the volunteers' experiences are almost unbearable, too. Rajab Malhi's is Oman, an inexperienced young man who makes contact with Hind. Sajid Kalani plays his supervisor, who comforts the girl while holding back tears. Clara Cowrie plays a counselor who tries to keep her traumatized coworkers calm, and Amr H. Lehel plays the supervisor with the nightmarish job of coordination. The Voice of Hind Rajab. Cast: Rajab Malhi's, Sajid Kalani, Jard Harris, Clara Cowrie, Amr H. Lehel. The awful irony, as the film depicts it, is that the Red Crescent has an ambulance available, just 8 minutes drive away from where Hind is hiding. But before it can be dispatched, the Israeli army has to agree on a route through the rubble-strewn streets for it to follow. And as the Red Crescent can't contact the army directly, negotiations have to be conducted via the Red Cross and other intermediaries. Ben Hania doesn't make any overt political statements, nor does she show how Hind was killed. The point is that the volunteers are too far away to see. What the film conveys so powerfully is the pain of wanting to change a situation which is agonizingly out of your hands. As the minutes tick by and the pressure intensifies, the volunteers call everyone they can think of, try to come up with alternative plans, and veer between supporting each other and clashing. These contrived-sounding arguments are Ben Hania's one obvious misjudgment, the one jarring reminder that we aren't watching a fly-on-the-wall documentary. But the team's most urgent task is to keep talking to Hind. Scrap by scrap, they tease out the details of her plight. Her class at school is called Butterfly, she says. Her school is called A Happy Childhood. There is a tank near the car, and it is getting closer. If viewers aren't deeply upset by this point in the film, they will be by the end. In its final minutes, the voice of Hind Rajab switches completely from dramatization to documentary, with some new footage of Hind's mother being interviewed, and some home video footage of Hind herself, playing on the beach. No other film this year will get more people talking or more people crying. The voice of Hind Rajab is not just a documentary, it is a harrowing meditation on innocence loss, and the unspeakable human cost of conflict. This powerful docudrama portrays the final hours of a 6-year-old Palestinian girl caught in the chaos of war in Gaza, and it is leaving audiences around the world visibly distraught, emotionally exhausted, and morally shaken. From the very first scene, the film makes it clear that it is not here to comfort or entertain, it is here to confront, to bear witness, and to demand attention from those who would rather look away. Set in the claustrophobic ruins of a besieged neighborhood, the film reconstructs a single desperate phone call that has since become a symbol of a larger tragedy, the voice of a child pleading for help from under the wreckage, as violence closes in from every direction. The direction is unflinching, almost clinical in its restraint. There is no need for theatrical dramatization. When the reality is already so devastating, the camera lingers, in quiet moments. The static shots of shattered windows, broken toys, abandoned shoes, and empty alleys say more than any monologue. Is this quiet that becomes the loudest voice in the film, echoing the silence that followed the unanswered cries for help. Hind Rajab is portrayed through a combination of archival audio voice reenactment and narrative storytelling. The filmmakers chose not to show her directly in most scenes, a decision that proves hauntingly effective. Her presence is felt more through absence, her small voice over a scratchy radio line, her imagined drawings, recreated by artists based on descriptions from relatives, and rescuers, her innocence contrasted with the devastation surrounding her. This is not a war film in the traditional sense. There are no sweeping battle scenes, no heroic climaxes, no redemption arcs. It is a tragedy in the purest form, where the central character does not survive, and the audience is left to grapple with what that means for their own sense of humanity. It is not easy to watch, and it is not supposed to be. Audiences have emerged from theaters in silence, many unable to speak for several minutes, others in tears, some even walking out midway, not out of disapproval, but emotional overwhelm. Such reactions are rare in the era of overproduced conflict media. But this film cuts deeper, because it does not attempt to create heroes or villains. It simply shows what happened and asks the viewer to live with it. The structure of the film unfolds in real time, following the timeline of Hind's last known phone call. As she tried to describe her surroundings, her fears, her confusion, the adults who lay still around her, the family that would never rise again, the emergency dispatcher on the other end tries to maintain calm, issuing reassurances, while behind-the-scenes efforts are made to reach her physically with ambulances through streets no longer safe for travel. As the hours pass, the anxiety builds, not through music or editing tricks, but through the simple ticking of a wall clock in the dispatch room, through the slow battery drain of the phone. She used through the increasingly desperate tone in the operator's voice as hope fades, inch by inch. Every technical decision made by the filmmakers is designed to respect the truth of that moment and to magnify its emotional weight. The voice of Hind Rajab functions on multiple levels as a deeply personal story, and as a political statement without ever raising a political flag. The film implicates without accusing, it reveals without preaching, and it mourns without manipulating. What it offers is not an ideology, but a mirror, and what the audience sees in that reflection says more about them than about the film. The docudrama makes effective use of real-world evidence, including audio recordings and official transcripts, blended seamlessly into the dramatic reenactments. The use of non-actors in several key roles, especially the emergency responders and local aid workers, adds a visceral authenticity that makes every word, every sigh, every silence feel lived rather than performed. From a filmmaking perspective, the visual palette is stark. Washed-out colors mimic the ashen gray of bombed buildings and clouded sky.